So what we do for families is that we help families create a financial foundation. It's just like building a house, you want to build it from the ground up. So the first layer is always protection. We protect your life, your health, income, disability, and long-term care. The second piece is debt management. We help people get out of debt. Okay? The debt that they're in is typically not that bad. However, the interest is what usually kills people. The third thing is creating an emergency fund. Emergency fund we define as 3 to 6 months worth of their expenses, right? And then once they created that foundation, they can invest all they want. But most people, they do this upside down. They invest first, then try to keep some extra cash in the bank. They're heavily, heavily in debt, and they protect their house, their cars, their jewelry, and their cell phones, but they don't protect their own life or their family. Okay? This is a concept we call the X curve. This is the time curve when you're younger, and this is as you get older, right? This line is the responsibility curve, the law of decreasing responsibility, and the law of building wealth. So how do we calculate people's responsibility? We use what we call the dime method. We calculate your debt, your income, times 10. Because if anything were to happen to us, we may not be able to work for the rest of our lives. So we have to account for 10 years worth of our income, mortgage, and education. A lot of the times our responsibility and the burden and the pressure on our shoulders can be in the millions, right? So what is the best way? We create two major strategies for our client. The first strategy is taking your penny to protect your dollar. Then later on, we'll show you how to take your dollar to create hundreds of dollars. But let's focus on the first strategy first, taking your penny to protect your dollar. If you have a lot of responsibilities, the best way is to transfer the risk and the responsibility over to an insurance company to protect your loved ones. Most people think about insurance as an expense. I pay, I'll never see that money again. But successful people look at insurance as an investment. Does that make sense? So as we get older, the goal is to decrease responsibility, right? Because as we're younger, we're typically here. Very, very high responsibilities, very, very little wealth. So as we get older, responsibilities decrease, pretty simple. But as we get older and we try to build wealth, it's not as simple as people may think, because we will incur 4 major risks and challenges. The first risk is inflation risk. We already know what inflation is. The cost of living continues to rise. Your dollar today is not worth $1 next year. The second risk is market risk. We already know that when people are investing in the market, the volatility of the market, if anything happens or the market corrects itself and there's a downfall, it could wipe out people's entire fortune or a good chunk of it, right? The third risk is taxation risk. How do you know by the time you retire what the tax bracket is going to be, who the president is going to be, or what tax laws or changes that they're going to make? So taxation is what we want to account for. And then the last risk is health risk. We already know that people's health conditions or major medical procedures can completely wipe out a family's entire fortune due to heavy medical bills. So these are the 4 risks that we have to account for as we're building wealth. Later on, even if you have no debts, no responsibility, you still have one more risk called the fixed cost in life risk. What does that mean? If you have no debt, cars are paid off, houses are paid off, and your kids are older, you still have the fixed costs because you still have what? Property taxes, insurance, day-to-day living expenses and utilities and things like that, okay? So we have a very powerful financial product or financial strategy called the Financial Foundation Index Universal Life. So this is a time, that you can ask the client around how much they think that they can save per month, okay? So these numbers, I typically will do a little bit of research before I sit down with the client and do this presentation, okay? So on average, let's just say that people say that they can invest $300 per month. And during your 5-minute presentation, you already introduced them to the 4 boxes, okay? So we're gonna dig deep into the 4 boxes a little bit here. So if the client let's say you can invest $300 per month, okay? Your $300 investment is broken down into two major components. About a third of it, let's say $100, and again, these are just estimated numbers. We can show you your real numbers after this, okay? So about a third of it, the $100 will go towards the cost of insurance. Now, what does this $100 actually get you? It gets you protection. Again, protects your life, your health, income, disability, and long-term care. The $100 will get you, let's say, $500,000 in insurance. So what does this $500,000 actually do for you? This is also broken down into two major aspects. Obviously, the traditional life insurance has death benefits. If anything were to happen to me, and we checked out, our family would get $500,000 tax-free. Okay? But what makes this so powerful is that you don't have to die or pass away to access this money. There is a powerful component called the living benefits. And the living benefits has two major features in it. It has so if there's anything, critical, chronic illnesses, major car accidents that leave you disabled, something happened to your health, income, disability, or you need long-term care, we've all heard of the terminology. You would get diagnosed by your doctor, obviously. And we've heard of mild, moderate, and severe. So if the doctor, so for example, if we had any heart attacks, strokes, cancers, disease, anything like that, the doctor will diagnose you with mild, moderate, or severe. Depending on the diagnosis, let's say it's very mild, you get to access 20% of the $500,000 and get a claim check from the insurance company. If they say it's very severe, you get to cash out 80% of the $500,000, and the insurance company will send you a check for $400,000. But here's the thing: as we're young and we're healthy, we want to get as much as we can. Why? Because the minute that we file a claim, we get to claim from all of the policies that we have open. But here's the downside: the minute that you file a claim, for the rest of your life, you're pretty much uninsurable. Right? So let's say that we cash out 50% of $500,000. We write a check for a client for $250,000. Might seem like a lot of money, but that's it for the rest of their life. So will that last them the rest of their life? Does that make sense? And it also comes with long-term care, where if you cannot perform 2 out of the 6 daily functions of living, like eating, walking, transferring, toileting, dressing, things like that, you get to claim 2% of your face value per month to replace your income for long-term care needs. So 2% of $500,000, you're getting $10,000 a month. Does that make sense? So between the tax-free death benefits and the living benefits, that protects our clients and their families, right? Isn't that powerful? For just $100 cost of insurance, about a third of the cost of insurance. Now, where does the other $200 go? It gets invested in a cash value, essentially like an index savings account, where we guarantee you growth up to 15%. Okay? And we guarantee you safety, like a guaranteed floor of 0.75%. Meaning that if the market crashes, or the market goes negative 10, 20, 30, or 44% in 2008, while everybody is losing money, not only is your money protected, it'll continue to grow at the same time, at about 1%. If the market goes up 10, 11, 12, 15%, you get credited 10, 11, 12, 15%. However, if it goes 16, 18, 20, you're capped out at 15%, right? So it's very powerful because in the last 20 years, we have been averaging 8 to 9% on our return. Pretty good, right? So just picture this. Let's say eventually you have $10,000 saved up in this account. Okay? Earning 8 to 9% interest, that's what? $800 to $900 in interest. Right? Now what happens to the cost of insurance? Eventually it pays for itself. It's powerful. So imagine if you had $100,000 in here, you're earning $8,000 to $9,000. You're essentially getting all of this paid for, and now you're having your money work for you. And another powerful feature about this is the minute that you make your first investment, your estate increases by that amount. This is where we talk about this strategy now, using your dollar to create hundreds of dollars. The minute you make your first investment, your estate increases by $500,000. So this strategy takes care of 3 major aspects in life. If for some reason we happen to die too soon, we have the death benefits tax-free, taking care of our family. Hopefully, we live very long. If we happen to live too long, most people outlive their money instead of having their money outlive them. If we happen to live too long, we get to live off the cash value and the interest that we earn. All right? But what happens, the most scary one, is what happens if we're half dead and half alive? Right? We have the living benefits and the long-term care to take care of us if we happen to be disabled or need some sort of assistance. So in this one financial strategy, we take care of inflation risk, don't we? Zero market risk. Taxation is never an issue, and anything happens to our health, we have this to take care of our financial foundation and build from there.